Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel. On today's tutorial, we're making this beautiful penciled skirt. It is fully lined and you do not need to add any press button at the end of the waistband. If you love to see how to make this, then keep on watching. And please do not forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video. So I literally used 1 yard of fabric to make this. You'll be needing your waist measurement, your hip point, your hip measurement, and your skirt length. So you're going to fold your fabric using the largest parts of your measurement, which is your hip measurement, and then you have to add 1 inch allowance for your side seam allowance. Like I already said, I used 1 yard of fabric, so I was doing all my best not to use more than 1 yard of fabric. What I'm doing here is I'm taking my borderline, which is my waistline. That's where I'll be taking all my measurement from. Then I'll take my waist to hip points, my waist to full length of skirt. Please note you can make your skirt longer or shorter. It totally depends on your preference. You do not have to make it exactly the length I'm making it. So that's my waistline, my hip line, and my full length line. Now I'm adding 1 inch hemming allowance. Now I'll go ahead and divide my waist measurement divided by 4, my hips measurement divided by 4, and then what I got for my hip measurement, I'll put it at the down measurement, and I'll minus 1.5 from it to make it like a penciled skirt. If you want it more penciled, you can do 2 inches. It is more advisable to use your hip cuff to join the hip, but I do not have any hip cuff. So go ahead and just join all your lines. Make sure you blend in your sharp edge points. And then you add all your sewing allowance. I added 1 inch. There is no dart for the front, so I just went ahead to add 1 inch of sewing allowance. Now you go ahead and cut out your skirt. The folding at the down, it is not necessary. You know me, I just like serere, so just cut it out. And I'm adding joining allowance to the top part of my skirt. So that's where I'll be joining my waistband to my skirt. Now I'm just folding another piece of fabric into two from my back, and I'm making sure to have enough allowance. Now I'm just going to put my front pattern on this and trace it out, but make sure you have at least 2 inches on our center back so we can add our zipper allowance. Just follow whatever I'm doing in the video and you'll be fine. And what I'm doing here is I'm adding 1 inch because I want a dart at the back. It is not necessary really, but I just wanted a dart at the back. If you do not want any dart at the back, ignore this step. Now I'm just going to trace out my center front line. I'm also going to extend my hip line to the center front so I can take my measurement. We are going to come out by 2 inches on our hip line, then come out by 1 inch on our waistline, and also 1 inch on the hemming line as well. The reason we came out by 2 inches on our hip line is because of our butts. We have butts at the back and we do not have in front, so you just give it a lot more balance. So this works really well for me. I've been using it for as long as I can remember. So now we're just going to notch our hip point so we do not mistake it for the zipper allowance. So now we're also going to take our dart, which is our nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So mine is 4 inches, so I'm taking 4 inches, and the length of my dart would be 5.5 inch, and I'll also take that and draw a line. And then on that middle part line, I'm going to take ½ inch on both sides. Then I'm going to join it like I'm doing in the video. So what I'm doing now is transferring my dart to the other side. I saw this method on Kim Dave's channel and I've been using it forever and it's always work. It is a lot easier. Just put a pin at the dart place you want to transfer, then mark it at the back, then go ahead and transfer with your line. If you remember, I said it was a fully lined skirt, so you go ahead and cut your lining exactly the same way you cut your main fabric. So I'm going down by 0.5 inch on my center front, just because our front waistline, it is not straight. So I'll do a curve. If you have a curve, it is best time to use it now, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. I've gone ahead to cut all my pieces, both for the main fabric and the lining as well. Now we're going to sew our darts, both for our main fabric and our lining piece as well. Just so you know, whatever we are doing for the main fabric, we're doing the same for the lining. And you go ahead and follow the video and you will be fine. Trust me. And of course, you go ahead and iron. If you're an OG on this channel, you know how much I love to iron while I sew, because it just makes everything beautiful. Now you're going to go ahead and sew your zipper allowance. You sew it to a point where you want your zip to stop at, which is my hip point. So when the person wants to wear it, it's a lot more easier. Then after that, you go ahead and iron, guys. Trust me, it's beautiful. Now I'm going to sew on my zip. Just do exactly what I'm doing in the video and you'll be fine. Like I always say, you'll be fine. I always pin before I go ahead and sew my zipper, and you can do whatever works for you really. So you gotta pin, just pin. So after you finish sewing, this is how exactly it should look like. I always use my zipper foot. It always comes in handy. I do not use anything apart from my zipper foots because I love life to be easy. So beauties, invest in a zipper foot. Invest in one. I am not capping. Make sure you do not sew on the zipper tip so you'll be able to zip up and down. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. This is exactly how your zip should look, very neat and beautiful. Now I'm taking my waist measurement divided by 2 to get my sewing allowance, and I'll do the same for the hip as well. My waist measurement divided by 2, get my allowance divided by 2 for the both side, like I'm doing in the video. Now take it to your sewing machine and sew it all the way down. Make sure you double check your measurement before you go ahead and sew it. After that, you turn it inside out, then you iron, of course. You do the same for the lining piece and you iron as well. Please note that your lining is shorter than your main fabric, like 1 inch shorter than your main fabric. I totally forgot to mention. So now we are going to join our lining and our fabric together in a way that it is seamless, and I'm going to show you. You want to turn your main fabric and your lining inside out to the wrong side. Before you join your lining, you want to double check the measurement and the fit to make sure it fits perfectly before you join your lining. Now your zipper allowance for your lining piece will be facing your zipper allowance for your main piece. Now you're going to sew this exactly on your zip. Just follow exactly what I'm doing in the video. I showed you how to do it in the video and I demonstrated it better than I think I'll be able to explain it. When sewing, make sure you stop at 3 inches before the hem of the lining so you have enough fabric to turn it when you're ready to. You see what I'm saying? Now this is what we have. It's looking beautiful already. Now you're going to turn everything inside out so you will see how neat it is. The reason I said you should leave 3 inches before you come to the hem of the lining is so that we'll be able to join the down and close up the down, so there won't be so much issue when closing it up. At this point it's a little bit tricky, but please follow exactly what I'm doing in the video. I'm demonstrating it better than I would actually explain it. I do not want to confuse you, so just follow exactly what I'm doing in the video. Now we're going to attempt to close this big hole right here, so just follow exactly what I'm doing in the video and it will be a lot easier for you. I repeated the same thing I did earlier just to reveal the wrong side of our skirt, and then I went ahead to pin it and sew it. If you're having any difficulties doing this, just chill and repeat the same thing I did earlier by turning it inside out to the right side, then figuring out which place is open. Then you go ahead and put your hand right through the opening at the waist area, bring in the other side again, and then sew it. You just keep repeating the same process. Now we are completely done with this part. Your skirt should look exactly like this, and of course, iron my girl, iron. Oh. Now you have a very beautiful skirt. Now onto the next. Now for my waistband, I cut the height of my waistband as 4 inches, that's 2 inches on fold, and then the length of my waist. I'll go ahead and add my interfacing, which is also known as stay, and I'll fold in my allowance, which I'll be using to join my skirt, as ½ inch on both sides, up and down, like I'm doing in the video. I've gone ahead to join one side of the band just to make sure that I'm on the right track, and then now I'm going to show you how to join it using the other side. Go ahead and pin your band all the way to the other side of your skirt. Okay, now for this part, I want to fix the waistband. So I'm going to loosen this part, just the two. Lose this part and lose this part as well. So I'm gonna head to loosen this part, and I'm going to fix my band. So I'm just trying to explain this clip because it was missing. I just needed to do something. So this is it. After I sew this way, I'm going to go back to join my zipper. my zip to the waistband. I'm going to go ahead and notch the folded part of our waistband. So I'm still trying to iron it, so I'll get that crease line. So when I open it up, I'll know where exactly the folded part of the waistband is. Now I'm going to sew my zip to my main fabric. I'll sew the zip until it gets to half an inch before the crease line I folded earlier, and then I'll repeat the same thing for the lining. I'll sew the lining on the zip. Just watch what I'm doing in the video. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the excess of my zip. Now do not forget to mark half an inch before our crease line, because that's where you'll be starting your sewing from. After you've done that, you go ahead and sew it down. Now I'm going to sew my lining the same way I sewed the main fabric. Sew the lining to the zip, and then I'll show you what to do next. Now I have to bend the zip to the other side so I'll be able to sew down my waistband like I'm doing in the video. Just follow exactly what I'm doing in the video. Now when you sew it, this is how it's going to look like when you turn it inside out to the right side. So this is me just checking if my waistband at the back was equal, which it wasn't, so I had to go back and redo it. Make sure you check before you sew it. So now this is what I have at the moment. What I'm going to do here is just cut off the excess waistband that we have. We do not need it. Now this is what you have when you turn it to the right side. Make sure you iron properly. Now what we're going to do next is complete joining our band to our skirt part, and then make sure you take the lining along as you're joining the band so everything stays in place. So when you want to top stitch, it's going to be a lot easier. After you finish pinning, now go ahead and sew it all the way around. Now you're going to use the band to cover up our joining allowance so it doesn't show any sort of rough edges at all. Just follow what I'm doing in the video. You're going to want to stitch it really closely so it doesn't even show that there's a stitch there. After you finish stitching, make sure you iron your skirt properly because your skirt is ready to be rocked. We have come to the end of today's tutorial. If this video was helpful to you, please do not forget to share, like, comment and subscribe. Hey, do not forget to hit the like button, and remember, stay beautiful. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.